Have you ever reflected about the possible causes that are preventing us from living a successful life? Why is it that others seem to have it all while others struggle to succeed in life? Well, whatever is your definition of success, the concepts that will allow us to overcome the causes of not being able to succeed are universal, as we will see in this book summary and insights from the book, Outwitting the Devil, by Napoleon Hill, and contextualized by Sharon Lechter. Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil 2011, which was written in 1938, stayed unpublished for more than 70 years. Hill's book is a collection of advice on how to thrive in life, edited and annotated by Sharon Lechter, who contextualizes the content for modern audiences. Readers now have complete access to Hill's personal convictions about the causes that are preventing us from living a successful life, as well as the concepts that will allow us to overcome them. Sharon Lechter is an American businesswoman and leader who works to improve financial education for teenagers and young adults. She is a spokeswoman for the National CPA Financial Literacy Commission, the founder of the financial education group Pay Your Family First, and the inventor of Thrive Time for Teens, an award-winning financial board game. Napoleon Hill was an American entrepreneur and author. Among the first to establish the current self-help genre, he is best known for Think and Grow Rich 1937, the result of almost 20 years of research and one of the top 10 best-selling self-help books of all time. Napoleon Hill was a much-needed source of optimism during the gloomy days of the Great Depression. But that voice was previously silenced. Though written in 1938, Outwitting the Devil was not published until 2011 because Hill held some contentious views regarding churches and schools, which he said inhibited individualism and kept people trapped in a suffocating web of fear. So, 70 years later, Hill's book has finally been published. In some ways, this story reflects Hill's belief in tenacity and overcoming the impulse to give up. As you can see, the advice here focuses on the power of positive thinking, finding the silver lining in every momentary setback, and surrounding yourself with positive people. Here, we summarize the 4 strategies on how we can outwit the devil, a metaphor of driving the causes of not being able to succeed in life. 1. Being driven by fear rather than faith is a major cause of failure. Is there a desire you've had for years but have been frightened to pursue? There undoubtedly is, given that, according to the author, 98% of us allow fear to rule our thoughts. As a result, we tend to wander through life without thinking for ourselves or pursuing our own interests. The dread that causes us to drift begins early on. First, there are churches that teach youngsters to beware of the terrible devil. Then there are schools that provide little preparation for children to be individuals in the real world, instead requiring kids to memorize an unending number of facts and figures as it was the case before. Napoleon Hill, the author, experienced directly this tremendous anxiety and lack of individuality while working toward his life aim of developing the first philosophy of individual success. For years, he'd interviewed people about their achievements and failures, but his notes were becoming aimless and didn't add up to a concrete worldview. He was stuck, his mind clouded with fear and doubt. Then he had an epiphany. While out strolling and getting some much-needed fresh air, he was interrupted by a voice that sounded like his other self, speaking to him. The voice was powerful, and it assured Hill that he could complete his manuscript on the philosophy of individual achievement if he stopped giving way to fear and uncertainty. Hill grew to feel that this voice symbolized something we all possessed. He refers to it as infinite intelligence, an abundance of trust and good energy that we can use at any time as long as we avoid doubt, fear, and worry. This voice gave Hill the confidence he needed to face his fears, make the required sacrifices, and finish his book. Because of this, Hill became the first well-known author of self-help literature, and his books are still read by people all over the world. In other words, Hill became a non-drifter, or someone who understands that the key to success is to master your own mind. 2. Getting what you want out of life requires positive thinking and a clear purpose. Hill's breakthrough occurred in part because he had a definite objective in life. If you want to improve your chances of success, you must set your own personal goals. Indeed, identifying your aim is critical, as a person's performance frequently depends on whether or not he knows what he wants. This task cannot be done for you. Neither school nor church can choose your future course. So it's fortunate that you and everyone else on earth have an invaluable advantage. We are all self-determining. Even in the worst-case scenario, we have a choice. Fill our minds with positive or negative thoughts. For example, many people struggled during the Great Depression, yet some had the self-determination to persevere and achieve greatness. Consider Henry Ford. Like so many other people of his period, he could have allowed negative thoughts to cloud his mind. Instead, Ford overcame fear and developed one of America's largest vehicle firms. Finally, determination and optimistic thinking enabled him to develop assembly line production and accomplish his aim of developing a low-cost car that any middle-class American could purchase. Remember that the most essential determinant of success is whether you choose to think negatively or positively. And when you combine optimistic thinking with a clear aim in life, you'll be on your way to escaping the fate of a drifter. Franklin D. Roosevelt is another excellent example. When he became President of the United States, he had a definite goal in mind: to dispel the anxiety that had persisted since the beginning of the Great Depression and to refocus the nation's focus away from depression and toward recovery. When asked about the biggest problem confronting the United States, Roosevelt responded, "It is not a question of majors and minors. We have only one problem, and that is to stop fear and replace it with faith." This was a specific plan, and it worked. It allowed Roosevelt to seize power and put America on the path to recovery. The adage goes, "You reap what you sow." In other words, your results will mirror your efforts. And if you start thinking positively and pursuing your goals, you'll quickly realize how beneficial having a purpose can be. 3. Developing positive habits and surrounding yourself with people who possess such habits is key to success. People are adept at making excuses for undesirable and unproductive conduct, whether the alleged cause is poor eating habits or an erratic sleeping routine. The true danger arises when those behaviors become a daily part of life. When drinking becomes a daily activity rather than a monthly one, you may be falling victim to what the author refers to as the law of hypnotic rhythm, which is a set involvement in habitual activities. This law applies to both negative and positive habits. However, you should be especially watchful of negative habits, as they can easily ruin your life. For example, the majority of headaches and other ailments are caused by overeating or eating the wrong meals. When people adopt terrible eating habits, their capacity to operate deteriorates, and their goals go by the wayside. The same can be said for other habits, such as sex, which can become such a powerful source of desire that all other aspirations fade away. To avoid such behaviors, successful people seek to associate with people who have good habits. After all, it is common known that the habits of others around you will influence your own behavior. This appears to be a straightforward method, but most individuals spend their lives accepting their current circumstances rather than chasing better ones. Andrew Carnegie, the author's mentor, is an excellent example of someone who did not simply accept his situation. The philanthropist and business magnate did what many other great leaders have done. He surrounded himself with successful individuals. So, if you find yourself being negatively influenced by your friends' or coworkers' low moods, it may be time to seek out peers with more positive views. 4. Successful people recognize the value of learning from failure. If you once pursued a project and were ultimately unsuccessful, you may have decided to quit up. However, successful people understand that failure is merely a temporary setback on their path to achievement. Consider Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, the phonograph, and numerous other revolutionary innovations. He had to go through dozens of failures before he could implement any of his ideas. There are probably thousands of people smarter than Edison. His endurance in the face of numerous defeats truly distinguished him and cemented his place in history. During the Great Depression, the author published Think and Grow Rich 1937, which helped people see past the decade's hardships and disappointments. And the book's counsel is still valid today. Regardless of the circumstances, we must always find a way to set goals for ourselves. To this day, the author's 1937 book is ranked among the top 10 self-help books of all time. Another habit that many successful individuals have is to recognize that each failure can be the seed that leads to success. Every problem you face will have a solution, so there's no reason to regard failure as anything more than a transitory state of mind. For example, Julie Krona was often informed that she couldn't become a professional jockey since no horse owners wanted a female jockey. However, Krona had a motto: keep showing up. And, indeed, she wore those horse owners down until they finally let her to ride. Julie Krona became a champion jockey. Indeed, years later, USA Today named her one of the hardest athletes in history. If you have a dream, don't let someone else's negative attitude discourage you from pursuing it. The core message of this book summary is that we all have positive and negative thoughts. Sometimes our inner voice encourages us to keep battling, while other times it tells us to give up. Fortunately, we may choose to listen to and follow the positive voice while dismissing the negativity and overcoming the fear that prevents so many individuals from realizing their ambitions. We can all overcome failure and achieve our greatest dreams by identifying our concerns, using the power of positive thinking, and sticking to a well-defined strategy. To recap, the 4 main strategies to outwit the devil, a metaphor of overcoming failure, are: 1. Being led by fear rather than faith is a primary cause of failure. 2. Getting what you want from life takes positive thinking and a clear purpose. 3. Developing positive habits and surrounding yourself with people who possess such habits is key to success. And 4. Successful people recognize the value of learning from failure. If you resonate with this video, please hit that like button and share this with others who may find it useful. Join us in this wonderful book journey by subscribing for free. Thanks for watching and see you in our other or next videos.